Thank you, Madam Chair. What is impressive to me is that a 1977 Exxon report said there is, quote, general scientific agreement that the most likely manner in which mankind is influencing the global climate is through carbon dioxide release from the burning of fossil fuels. That was in 1977. That means that as early as the 1970s, Exxon knew not only that climate change is real, but that its products, Exxon's products, were contributing to the climate crisis. In 2002, former Exxon CEO Lee Raymond said he does not believe, and I quote, that the science establishes the linkage between fossil fuels and warming. Dr. Mann, you're a distinguished climate scientist at Pennsylvania State University in our heartland. Do you think that Lee Raymond's statement that science had not established a link between fossil fuels and climate change in 2002 was accurate?
No, it was thoroughly inaccurate. Even ExxonMobil at that point knew how inaccurate that statement would be.
Do you think it's fair to say that his statement was not consistent with the science as Exxon understood it at the time?
Yeah, that's right. And I would just add that the subsequent CEO of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson, who went on to become Donald Trump's Secretary of State, has sort of evolved from denial of the science to insistence that we can just use technology like geoengineering to solve the problem. So there is an evolution there, but even now, we still have a CEO of ExxonMobil denying the importance of meaningful climate action.
Well, I guess, you know, in front of this hearing, Darren Woods, and, you know, my interest is actually not to embarrass him. He told us that, quote, I think Mr. Raymond's statement was consistent with the science at the time. Do you think at the very least he should retract that or correct the record? I mean, is there any plausibility for that statement?
Yeah, the statement is inconsistent with internal reports from ExxonMobil's own scientists in 1977 and 1982.
I would just say that I really urge Mr. Woods to clarify the record or to explain why Dr. Mann is incorrect. But you see no way that Exxon today could maintain that the statements by Lee Raymond were consistent with Exxon's understanding at the time that Lee Raymond made those statements. Is that correct?
Yeah, not in good faith.
The other thing that Mr. Woods said, and you know, he said that increased greenhouse gases can contribute to the effects of climate change. I would have thought he would have said that they do contribute. The word can tells me that it's possible that it won't. It is pretty apparent today, right, that increased greenhouse gases will contribute to climate change and that there should not be any ambiguity on this point?
Yeah, his statement is sort of like saying gravity can contribute to an object falling. It is basic physics that has been known for the better part of 2 centuries that greenhouse gases warm the atmosphere, they warm up the planet, and carbon dioxide being a principal one.
Dr. Mann, also on Exxon's pledges where they say, okay, scope 1 and scope 2, we're going to cut emissions or get to net zero, but we're not going to do it for scope 3 for the actual oil we sell. What do you think of that?
Well, I'd use the analogy, it's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. It is not addressing the gorilla in the room. 90% of the carbon emissions are from scope 3, the fact that their business model involves the extraction and sale of fossil fuels, which when burned, warm up the planet and create climate change.
Dr. Mann, when the chairwoman and I and many of the members conceived of having these hearings, their purpose really was not to stick it to big oil. It was really to have them come clean and say how they're going to make changes going forward. If you were talking to Mr. Woods, what would your advice be that they can do in terms of the past misstatements and in terms of future action?
Yeah, I mean, we believe in redemption in this country, and I would encourage them to become part of the solution. It's not too late for them to embrace the need to address the climate crisis and to become heroes by helping us steer quickly away from fossil fuels. There is still time for them to have that be their legacy.